or Sandra, either one. I feel like I should start by saying I'm from Portland and I'm here to help after all of this.
Thank you.
But I appreciate, until I took this job, and I was in the energy industry for 20 years, I was actually with PG&E California Corporation, the California-based company. I was actually paid to worry mostly about rural communities in the state because all of our assets and many of our customers were in rural Oregon, so we had a large focus on both the coast and Central Oregon and Southern Oregon as well. But I grew up here in Portland, and as we've been speaking, I was thinking about the change in how Portland and rural Oregon relate, and it's really been profound if you think about it. We've talked about rural-urban differences for as long as I can remember, but when I was a young person, even when I was starting my career, the towers in downtown Portland, a lot of them were built and occupied by natural resource-based industries, Georgia Pacific, Louisiana Pacific, a lot of others. And those companies aren't 100% absent from this city. I have some that are members, thank you. But the presence of some of those industries that are so closely tied to the economies of rural Oregon is simply not what it used to be. So some of the innate connections that we had and the understanding that we were able to develop because we were all working together and serving on boards together aren't there as much, and it's a little bit more complex as we've seen how the economies have grown since the early 90s, that we really in Portland have largely a tech-based economy, and with the software industry growing and companies that maybe don't have that innate intrinsic understanding and connection to rural communities that we used to see here in Portland. And so I think we've got to be mindful about how we work together to build that understanding and bring all of those people who are coming in droves to Portland and moving here, bring them along and help them see all of Oregon. We are very lucky that we still do have great companies based here that are statewide companies and that do take a statewide approach. Pacific Power, my former employer, is one of them. The banks, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they all have a statewide vision and understand how important a healthy rural economy is to our entire state and the connectivity that we have to drive between rural Oregon and particularly the Portland metro area. But I do want to point out, when we talk about the economy, Portland metro, we read in national papers and everywhere that our local economy is on fire. And that is true. There's lots of job creation going on. But the truth is that new prosperity is not evenly shared across our region. That we have geographic regions, particularly East Portland, East Multnomah County, and some communities within our region that are not equally sharing that benefit. And I think if you went to East Multnomah County, you would see some communities that in terms of employment and incomes look a lot more like rural Oregon than they do like downtown Portland. And so we're trying to have that conversation and say, we've got to figure out how to share the prosperity that we have created in the central part of our city in Washington County, which is doing phenomenally well because of leadership from people like Mayor Doyle, to see that grow and to share that more broadly. And as I listened to this panel, I really, in other panels today, I've heard about issues that we care about here in Portland and that we share together, and that the way I think we could be building understanding is finding ways to connect together on issues that we share, work on solutions together, and understand that some solutions that might work for Portland might not work for rural communities. Sometimes we wish we didn't have them in Portland either, but that's, we've got to figure out how this all works together. For example, workforce training, job development, workforce training, as we change from a manufacturing economy, how do we prepare people, or manufacturing becomes different, how do we prepare our young people? Thank you, Senator Johnson, for OMIC. I think that is just a phenomenal Scappoose-based training program that she is spearheading that's going to be phenomenal for Scappoose. By the way, Doesn't your district come over to Portland now, Senator Johnson?
Into the working waterfront under the St. John's Bridge.
We are so proud to call you one of ours, so thank you very much. We need you.
And we will be
here.
There go my rural bona fides right out the window.
We will be calling on the senator to showcase that project before the end of this panel, just so you know.
It's a phenomenal. But job development, we still have to be looking at job development throughout Oregon and in Portland. Housing, huge issue across our state. It's a critical issue here in Portland. But the solutions that we do, we need to be thinking statewide and how we can work together to create an environment for more housing development. Transportation, we we've done a few cost of congestion studies, working with Duncan and the business plan. And what we found is that congestion in the Portland metro area impacts the ability of people across the state, producers across the state, to get their product to market, and is a choking point, so we need to work together on transportation. I'm so glad you mentioned trade, Representative Huffman. That is, we're a trade-based state. People in Portland need to understand that growing wheat in Pendleton or producing cheese in Tillamook, that's all trade, and it all comes through Portland, and we need to be working together on trade policies that benefit both economies. And small business development, which is the heart of our economy here, and I think of every economy in the state. So I think there are places where we can work together. We have common issues. Maybe there are different solutions or solutions that are applied differently, but I think if we work together and frankly work together to understand, to build a better understanding with people across the state, rural people of some of the urban concerns and urban people of some of the rural concerns. We've taken folks out around the state before, Duncan and I together, and we love doing that. So we may be calling you and saying we're coming to a community near you soon. Thank you.